What's up everyone? In this video I want to talk to you about how to pick a main character in Tekken 7. I went through some analytics on this channel the other day and I found that so far in the very short life of my channel, more than half of the views I've gotten have been on one single video. The video where I went over the Tekken 7 tier list and just talked, generally about the Tekken 7 roster. And so I thought a little bit about why that might be, and I found that I think just picking a main character and learning how to play in a certain style and using that character to express yourself is kind of one of the most fun and interesting parts of any fighting game. And in this video I just wanted to go a little bit deeper about how you should go about finding your main character if you haven't already. That video is more about tier lists, and tier lists is not something that I think should be a major consideration when you pick a character. There are much more important things to talk about, and so that's what I want to talk about in this video. I sat down and thought a lot about what might be a good process for finding a main character this morning, and I wrote up this weird little flowchart thing for what might be a good way, just to sort of give you a method for how to maybe go about this and at least boil it down to a couple of choices. So if you haven't found your favorite character in this game already, I hope it's useful. But I'm just going to start at the top here and we'll see where it goes. So the first consideration I think you need to make when you're looking for your main character in Tekken 7, just something that you sort of need to get out of the way, is whether or not you want to play a Street Fighter style character. There are two Street Fighter style characters currently in this game, Goki or Akuma and Eliza, and they play in such a distinct way that I don't think spending a lot of time on these characters and developing your skills with them is necessarily going to translate into you being a good player with other characters in the game. You're probably going to specialize very heavily towards that style of play, and so it's probably a choice you want to make early on, whether or not you want to specialize yourself in that direction, because it's going to limit you in terms of playing other characters in the future and so on. One thing to note about these characters is that, at the moment there are only two of them in the game, but there are going to be a lot of DLC characters and guest characters down the line for Tekken 7. And my prediction is that if we get any more legacy Tekken characters, like maybe we get, Julia, I think she's going to play, like a Tekken character, and she's going to have typical Tekken mechanics. But I think that if the character is a guest character from another game, maybe a new Street Fighter character, or maybe from some other game, it is very likely that Namco are going to want to develop that character towards the more Street Fighter based style, just to sort of flesh out that part of the Tekken 7 roster a little bit. So if you want to be a Street Fighter style player, there's probably going to be more options for you down the line. If you're completely new to Tekken, I think the only reason to pick these characters is if you think they look awesome, if you think the style is really cool and you really want to play these characters for those reasons. Or, obviously you're already a 2D fighting game player and you know a lot about cancels and jump ins, and you're sort of comfortable with that kind of stuff already, fireballs, and then that's going to be a sort of natural organic transition for you. But I think most people are going to initially gravitate away from these characters. And so the next choice or consideration I think you have to make before you sort of dive into the roster proper is whether or not you want to be a Mishima player. Now the Mishimas in this game, they're kind of unique. They are the main characters of the Tekken story. They are in all the advertising, and so they are sort of the most iconic Tekken characters, and they look badass, so to speak. So a lot of people come to the game wanting to play them. They also find out that the Mishima characters typically are at the top of the tier lists and super strong. They have some of the most powerful moves in the game. But the Mishima characters have a very distinct style they play in as well, not as distinct obviously as the Street Fighter style characters, but you need to, for example, learn how to perform the Electric Wind God Fist reliably to be an above casual level Mishima player, and that can be kind of hard to do. I mean, for most people it takes a couple of weeks and maybe even months, or for some people even more, to reliably perform electrics every single time they want to. And so if you want to go in that direction, you really want to be, a Heihachi player, that's a consideration you have to make. Are you willing to spend that time and put that effort into developing, your crouch dashing and your electrics and all that stuff? Because it's probably going to initially mean that you're not going to do a lot of successful play online, and you're not going to be winning a lot because you have to focus on learning a lot of core stuff first. Obviously, I do not recommend that you just go online and start playing, you know, a Mishima that doesn't use the crouch dash, doesn't use the electric, and you try and sort of work around the fact that you don't want to perform these sort of difficult techniques, because that's just gonna really limit you in the long run. If you decide you want to go and specialize in being a Mishima player, then you should really learn how to be a Mishima player first, and then start developing, you know, your skill set in terms of competitive play. Just to run them down quickly, if you don't know, Heihachi, Kazuya, and Devil Jin are the traditional 3 Mishima characters in this game. And then I also think that we can put normal Jin sort of in this category in this game. You know, the changes to his Electric Wind Hook Fist makes him more like a regular Mishima in this game than he's been before. So that's the next consideration I think you have to make. And once we have these 2 things out of the way, it's time to sort of dive into the roster and sort of start looking around and poking around. Now, what I recommend you do is just look through the roster and try and look and see if there's any kind of character that tickles you in any way. If you find any kind of personal connection, maybe there's a character that you think looks really cool, you know, maybe there's a character you like the fact that they have great tits, maybe there's a character, you know, for example, when I started playing Tekken for the first time, I started playing Lars just because I wanted to pick anything, and arbitrarily he happened to be from the same country as me, so I picked him, and then I started playing a lot of Lars. I know a friend here in Japan who's a huge pro wrestling fan, and so obviously he loves King. I have another friend who we were playing Tekken 7 in the arcades, and she is like she just got into boxing a couple of years ago, and she's just starting to get competitive boxing matches. And I told her about Steve, and she was like, "Oh, so Steve's a boxer, is he?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's a boxer. He's a boxer, and he doesn't have any kicking attacks because you don't kick in boxing." And she was like, "Well, he can't kick. Is he a bad character then?" And I was like, "No, his punches are so good that he doesn't need kicks." And I could see her face sort of light up, and she started playing a lot of Steve. And I think, you know, she's very likely, if we go play again in a couple of months, to have developed, you know, her Steve and start, you know, becoming a serious Steve main. So it can be literally anything, but if there is a character in here that you feel something with and that you think looks cool and that you want to try, start going into offline game modes and exploring, you know, the moveset and exploring the core mechanics of the character. Now, when you're at this stage of your sort of process, one thing I really want you to look at is, are there some like special techniques or special like kinks with this character that I need to develop in order to be successful with it overall? For example, say for example, like what would be a good thing to bring up here? Okay, so Gigas, for example, he has an extremely powerful throw known as Overkill that is performed by doing a half circle back forward and then his 2 punch buttons. When you're new to Tekken and you're not used to doing a lot of like half circle motions, that's not easy to perform at all. If you're a veteran Tekken player and you've played a lot of King before, that's super easy to do. But if not, then it can be really difficult. And so I recommend that you sort of explore these core important mechanics to flesh out your sort of toolkit with the character before you go any further and start developing, you know, your character as a main, because you might actually find that there are things about your character that you sort of need to do to play them at an above average or sort of an above casual level that you don't really like and that you don't really want to have to hassle with. I mean, maybe you start playing Lee because you think he looks really cool and you like the way, you know, he's kind of sassy and stuff, but then if you find out that he has to do these like dashes that are very unique to him to perform his combos, and you find that is super awkward and you don't like it at all, but you have to do it in order to be, you know, a good lead player. And so now you've spent a lot of time on a character that you might not actually like as much as you thought initially. So the way to sort of find out what are the sort of core things and mechanics that you need to know about your character is to obviously, you know, hit the forums and read up on a lot of stuff, but also just go and look at match footage of people playing these characters online, people who know what they're doing. You know, if you see some kind of weird movement thing that they do a lot, it seems to be very good to create a lot of mix-up situations. You know, find out what that is, see if you can go in and perform it in practice mode. If it turns out it's a difficult thing that's really hard to do, you know, maybe it's like doing these while standing 1 strings with Nina. Maybe that's super hard for you to do. Maybe you want to practice doing that if you're going to develop Nina as your main character. It can be anything. but sort of know a little bit about what you need to be better at specifically for your character before you go further. That's just a tip that I want to give, because that's something I messed up so many times when I was completely new to Tekken. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be, you know, X player, whatever, and then it turns out that there are these like things you have to do that I just hated and didn't want to work on, and so I abandoned the character, you know, after 2 weeks or whatever. So if you find something that you like, that you are having fun with, and you want to start developing, you know, for your main, keep doing it. Eventually, you know, start incorporating a lot of online matches. Don't be frustrated if you don't win right away. That's obviously not going to be a consideration you need to make. Do not be concerned about winning. If you play a game with a new character in Tekken and you feel like, oh, this move that this character has is really cool, it's a good whiff punishing move, and so what I want to try and do in this game is I want to try and backdash and look for a whiff, and if I see a whiff, I'm going to try and launch with this whiff punisher, and you do that successfully at some point during that game, then as far as you're concerned, when you're learning a character, you won that game. You improved. You did something because you wanted to do it, you thought about doing it, and you executed it, and it worked. And then, you know, maybe your opponent, you know, stole the game because he was doing cheap shit, or maybe he was just really good and he beat you in the long run. That doesn't matter. Do not worry about winning when you're new to a character. When I started playing Gigas in this game, I sucked so much. I just got murdered over and over and over because I wasn't used to his very big hitbox. But I gave him like a week, and I tried to be patient because I just liked the way he looked. And within 2 months of playing the character, he was the highest ranked character I had ever had in any Tekken game. He was the first character that I got into like the upper high orange ranks with in the Japanese arcades, which is really hard to do because people are stupid strong here. And so just you know, have faith. Mainly in yourself, but also in your character when you're new. Of course, if you find that the character that you've started exploring isn't for you, probably just do what I said again. Go back to the roster, look and see if there's anything that sort of looks cool to you. You like the way it plays, you like the way it looks, you like the way it feels, and then you start exploring that a little bit more. One thing to note about this, I mean, the reasons for playing a character can be so arbitrary, and don't be one of those like super competitive gamey guys that's like all that matters is like whether or not you know, the 10 frame punish is good and whether wall splats or not or whatever. You know, visuals matter in this game. How you feel when you play the game matters. Whether or not you're having fun matters. Whether or not you feel like you're expressing yourself really matters. Having fun in this game and spending a lot of time on a character that you really like, personally, will make you a better player. I'm absolutely serious. I mean, if all you should be worried about is playing the strongest character ever and playing that perfectly, then everybody in the entire world would be like Brian or Xiaoyu mains or Devil Jin mains right now. That would be a boring world to live in. And if you look at some of the biggest tournaments in the world, those are popular characters, but they're not actually the characters that are winning all the tournaments. You know, people like Saint, who's playing a low tier character like Jack that he loves and he's super good with. He's like the best Jack player in the world, and he's like a virtuoso with that character. He can beat literally anybody else in the world with Jack. And so that's kind of the mindset I want you to get into. I want to be an expert with my character. I want to learn all these cool little kinks and weird things about my character. And I want, when people see me pick my main, that they're going to go, oh shit, it's, you know, so-and-so's so-and-so. You know, it's JDCR's Dragunov, it's JDCR's Heihachi. Obviously, you don't need to compare yourself to JDCR, probably the greatest Tekken player in the history of the world right now. That was just an arbitrary example that I brought up. So to sort of wrap this up, I mean, the three main things I want you to take with you is, like I said, be patient initially, don't expect to win. Just try to get better. Be prepared to get a lot worse before you get better. If there's a character you play right now that you're a little bit comfortable with, don't sort of relapse and go back to that character because you become frustrated for losing. If you stick with one character that you like and you manage to develop it to a point, that's going to be so satisfying for you, and that's going to be like one of the most like fun and great journeys you can make in terms of learning a fighting game. The second thing is be honest with yourself. Are you losing for any specific reason? Are you avoiding some certain mechanics that might be very useful for you because you don't like the fact that they have high execution? Are you spending enough time in practice mode? Or are you relying too heavily on punishable tools because you like to do low sweeps because sometimes they give you a free launch because of lag and stuff like that? Be honest with yourself. Nobody's watching, nobody's judging you. It's just you and your game, and you're doing it because you want to have fun. And then the last thing I just want to mention before we wrap this video up is I just want to give you some advice on like specific characters. If you are completely new to Tekken and you don't know how to execute a lot of basic stuff, but you want to start playing the game and you want to start learning about combos and you want to start being competitive online, I'm gonna recommend Shaheen and Claudio. I think Shaheen and Claudio have extremely low levels of execution while simultaneously being very, very strong. You can learn how to do like cool, fun combos with them super easily that do a lot of damage, so that's going to be fun for you. And they are going to be like optimal combos. You can do like the optimal Shaheen combo off of his hop kick, and you can learn to do that super quickly. You can learn how to do like a wall combo with him super quickly. And now that you have that, his small, distinct moveset in your arsenal, and that's all you need to worry about, and all you need to keep in your head for now, you can start worrying about stuff like, are you moving properly? Are you watching your opponent? Are you block punishing properly? And those are then the skills that are gonna like escalate into you being a good Tekken player in the long run. If you're already a fighting game player, already a Tekken player even, and you're just looking to learn a new character that is going to be super strong, have a lot of like cool stuff that you can explore and that are kind of technical, my tips are going to be check out Master Raven and check out Leo. Both of these characters, in my opinion, are some of the strongest in the game. You need to do a lot of like crouch dashing with them to create mix-ups, especially Raven I think is very technical. Leo is less technical but stronger, probably one of the strongest characters in the game, maybe number one. And I think both of these characters are criminally underexplored, which is also why I want to give them a push, because I feel that I see so many Bryans, I see so many Dragunovs right now, and I just want these less explored, super cool characters to have more people just go in and really, really learn how to play them well, so that we can have a more varied and fun environment when we play this game online. So that's just going to be my quick little method for how you might go about finding a main character in this game. Try and have fun, try and stay calm, don't worry about, being judged or anything. You're playing, with yourself, for yourself, and, winning online and going to tournaments and stuff, that's going to come much later, and it might not come at all. For now, just try and have fun, with your favorite fighting game, and that's literally all this is about, even at the highest and most competitive level. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it was useful for some people. I hope it sort of helped you water down your choices a little bit, or boil down your choices a little bit, I should say. And thank you so much for watching. This has been, a really fun journey for me. I only had a YouTube channel for like 2 weeks. I didn't expect anybody to watch any of these videos. And, it hasn't blown up or anything, but there are actually like people following the videos and watching them, commenting and sending me messages. And I'm having so much fun. So thank you to everybody. There's going to be something a little bit special. I'm going to announce a new series specifically for advanced Tekken players during the next week. So look forward to that. But for now, have fun, try out some new characters, and just enjoy Tekken 7. Thank you very much, and goodbye.